No marks.
No, maintenance day.
Maintenance issue, sorry.
Yeah, I mean, right now he didn't practice today. I'd leave it at that.
Where, do you like the offensive production so far this year? Do you like what you've gotten out of it? Is there still more there?
It's a good question. You know, it's been different in different games, which is going to be. I think our offensive production's been not bad. You know, our power play hasn't been great, but it hasn't been bad. It's had moments where it's scored. I would say if there's one area, I think we've given up too many goals. To me, that would be a bigger area of concern right now. I think, you know, over the last couple of years, we've looked at our underlying numbers defensively. They've been better than they are as we sit here today. Now, sometimes that's just the way the games are. You know, the games can get a little bit wild. But like the other night, I thought we gave up too many easy goals against them. We can't give up easy goals against and expect to win on a consistent basis.
You're tired. Was it just two moves?
Just great. I would say we gave up our zone too easy, starting in the O zone, coming back to our end. We just gave up our zone too easy. And then I thought we were slow closing a D zone. So we just, and they're a talented team and they made us pay for it.
Tomorrow night with Montreal. I mean, obviously, it's been a rough start. You see a team like that on the schedule, is it like dangerous time to face them?
Well, I'd start by saying the last time we played them, they kicked our butts in here. So, you know, that's all I'd really worry about right now is they had kicked our butts. They obviously, you know, that's what sticks in our mind. You know, we're not necessarily, you know, our guys aren't watching them play on a consistent basis or watching their record or anything like that. What they have fresh in their mind is the fact we got our butts kicked in here last time. And so we better come ready to play with a great sense of urgency. And, you know, we've got lots at stake on a game by game basis here. Too much to worry about other teams.
There's one starting tomorrow, the schedule.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense for the next 2 or 3 weeks. How do you balance games and the time off and just make sure everybody's fresh?
It's a good question. You know, we're going to have to work to balance it. You know, I work with our sports science people in terms of, you know, where guys are at from a body standpoint, making sure that we're trying to get our guys, you know, get enough practice time in, but also have our guys with maximum energy in the games. You know, we may have to look at flipping some guys in and out in terms of bodies just to make sure guys stay fresh and are at the top of their game. So it's something we'll look at, especially on the back end.
Last one, Lutheran's big college writer. Jack Beauregard, your daughter at Western. What kind of impact did she have with you? Just
She's an absolutely great person, great human being. You know, I honestly get a little bit emotional just thinking about it with what she did for me. You know, she not only gave me the opportunity at Western, but she gave me the opportunity to leave. And you know, she could have made it way harder. And she knew that my dream was ultimately to be a head coach in the National Hockey League. And rather than maybe being selfish, she was selfless, and she allowed me to take the assistant job with Babs at the time, and which ultimately led to where I sit today. So I owe her a ton. Western Michigan University owes her a ton. She's a fabulous human being.
Just to go back on Montreal, how do you make sure to capitalize on the team when they're struggling like that?
You know, again, I would say our focus is more on ourselves than on them. You know, I think in this building, if they could be 8-0 or 0-8, doesn't matter. In this building, momentum matters, and so you better do a good job of not giving up easy chances. You know, because every time you give up a chance, the momentum builds in this building. You better make sure that you when you do give up a chance, it's not a second and a third and a fourth right away. Because again, it just the momentum. You have to find ways to quell that momentum. The best way to do that is to play in their end as much as possible and make them defend.
What's the plan?
It's a day-to-day league, so right now the plan is from to play tomorrow, and then we'll take what happens after that. We'll take it day by day. You know, I thought Joe, understandably so, started slow in the game a little bit. He hopped out of a car and put his gear on and played. a little bit systematically. I'm sure it was a little adjustment, even though our systems are similar. He played wing. He'd only maybe had been playing center, but I thought by the end of the night he looked really good. He's got really good physical attributes. He's strong. He can skate. He's got good one-on-one ability. And so, by the end of the night, he made a real big impact in the third period.
You feel that he's more ready right now for the
I think it depends how you define ready, number one. My question is he ready to help us win? And if he plays consistently like he did in the third, then he's ready to help us win. If he plays consistently like he did in the first, then he's not ready to help us win. So I don't know that answer. We'll keep watching. I don't just because a guy, anybody, and for that matter, is ready to play in the league is different than ready to help you win. We want guys that are going to help us win.
What do you think of the start of this season of Phillips and Ethan?
I think Phillips had some games where he's played really good and maybe hasn't got rewarded as much offensively. And I think he just has to make sure that he doesn't let that get him down and that he stays with it. And he has scored some. Obviously, had a nice power play goal the other night. I think the power play is an area where he can really, really be an asset. And so that was good to see it go in. He was scoring lots today in practice, and I'm hoping he can get real hot.
Maybe a last one on your assistant coach at Exeter. What does he bring to your staff, and do you think he's the best coach to help Philippe and Joe to go at their top?
Yeah. Do I think what was the last part?
Is it a good coach to bring them at their top? I'm talking about Joe and Philippe.
Oh, I got you. Yeah. I'll start by he helps us find the best poutine places in Montreal, so that's a great start. I've really enjoyed my time with Alex so far. He's very, very smart, very, very passionate about coaching, cares a ton about trying to help our guys get better. I think he's a good asset for a number of our players, including Joe and Phil, because he's been an offensive player in this league and he's won and he knows what winning looks like. He knows the type of the way you have to play to be a winner. He's played for some excellent coaches. And so he really understands that. So it's not just about cute skill, it's about productive skill and two-way hockey. And I think he's done a good job of imparting that wisdom onto our players. And I think he'll continue. He's been a great asset for us. Who's that? I'll have a health update tomorrow. He skated, he finished the practice, so I'm hoping, but I don't know that answer.
Thanks for those. Some questions, Alex?
Yep, we'll continue with Bob Duff.
Jeff, I was crunching some numbers today, and your defensive core is in the top 10 in point production in both 5-on-5 and power play points this season so far. And I know it's early in the season, but the way the game's played today with the defense being so involved, how important is it to have that kind of level of production from the back end?
Well, I think it's critical. And to be honest with you, Bob, I think there's been times over the last couple of years where we've had chances and haven't produced as much, from the backside, but not for lack of being involved in the play. I think they're involved the same amount, but the production's higher. And, obviously when you add a guy like Letty, a guy like Sider into your D-core, I think it helps increase your offensive production in two ways. One, you get out of your zone and you transition better. And two, there are guys who can make offensive plays once you hit that offensive blue line, whether it's scoring or from making passes. So, I think it's a critical part of the game. We want to be able to win different ways. And even a game like Toronto the other night, although we didn't come back and tie it, we stayed in the game because we were able to score. And so scoring is a critical piece of the game.
And that being said, the goal by Hronek there, it was your first from a defenseman. Now, historically in the game, there's been very few defensemen that are big goal producers. Was goals from a defensive core, is that almost like a bonus in some ways?
Yeah, and certainly Phil's a guy who can score. I know he hasn't had the production that he'd like over the last couple of years, but he's got a real shot, so he can score for sure. You generally have to find ways to either join the rush, and that's how you're scoring, or you have to have a real big shot and have opportunities to really bomb it. And certainly probably Phil's got the hardest shot on our backside. I think we can still do a better job on the rush of finding our late attackers And it's an area where I think we could increase the goal scoring of our defensemen.
Thanks.
Yep.
Next, we'll go to Helene St. James.
Jeff, with regards to giving up pure goals, how much of that is, I mean, your PK has been respectable, but less on the PK and to follow along with that, not being shorthanded so much.
Sorry, we're getting some interference here. Just in time, Helene.
Did you hear me or?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, did you hear my question or?
I did hear your
Yeah, okay.
question, Helene. I'll answer it while we're working on this. Both those are factors. First off, I actually think our penalty kill, you know, we went through a kill last game where I thought we did an excellent job. And then I think the only chance they had on the power play went in the net. And now that's not the fault of anybody. It's just to say structurally, I thought it was pretty darn good. And I think it has been. I think we're improving in our structure on the PK forecheck, which I think was important. I think our structure in our zone's been pretty good. So my gut is you know, generally, if you can stay with it, even when goals go in on the PK, if your process is good, if you can stay with it, it'll even out. And I believe that that's what will happen with our PK. Certainly, you know, the number of times that you give teams power plays, you're playing with fire. And so something we've talked about from the beginning of the season is do a better job of staying out of the box. And that's certainly an area we got to be better at.
And just lastly, the last time you were in Montreal, I think Dylan actually had the first goal and it was only 2-1 after the first. Was it penalties that got you into trouble there? Like how do you avoid? Yeah.
It was definitely penalties. I thought we started the game, we were playing well and potentially outplaying them. And we took 3 penalties in the offensive zone and you know, you can't end up doing that. Now, I will tell you, when I look at each penalty, you know, 2 were deep pinches that ended up kind of trips. One of which I don't know, you know, that was an actual penalty, but in the end, it was still 3 penalties and it took away our momentum. And next thing you know, you gave them momentum and then the building got rolling and it's, as I said, a hard building. So we got to make sure that we're really disciplined tomorrow night.
Okay. And questionable on Dylan and probable on Ernie. Is that about right? Or?
No, I'll have a fuller report for you tomorrow. I'm not sure.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Those are all the questions we had for Coach Blashill. We'll be back shortly.